Good evening, sir. Sir, you're not audible.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to everyone present here. Quiz Club AC is delighted to have you all here for this webinar on quizzing. Firstly, we would like to convey our special thanks to Sayantan Saikia, sir, a prominent quiz master, for agreeing to impart his expansive knowledge on the world of quizzing and interact with all of us this evening.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Saga. And it's a pleasure of mine to be invited by a prestigious institution like the Assam Engineering College. And I'm hoping for a good time as well, talking to you all.
Sir, us too. So before we start, I'd like to give a small introduction of Sir. So born on 2nd November 1994 in the remote oil town of Digboy, he did his high schooling from Carmel School Digboy and higher secondary from Delhi Public School Digboy in humanities. He went to Cotton College to pursue his graduation with honors in history and then to Guwahati University to pursue his post-graduation in the same subject. In December 2010, his team from Delhi Public School Digboy emerged runners-up in the CBSE Heritage India Quiz held at New Delhi by beating over 700 teams across the length and breadth of the country. He won prestigious quizzes such as Quizzeria 2010 while pursuing his high school in Digboy. He was the College Week Quiz champion for 3 years consecutively in Cotton College in 2016 and 17. His team from Guwahati University emerged as national champions in the youth festivals held at University of Mysuru and University of Kolhapur, organized under the aegis of Associations of Indian Universities (AIU). He has conducted over 50 quizzes in his career of around 5 years as a quiz master in various places of the state in various institutions such as University, Guwahati University, Dibrugarh University, and Indian Statistical Institute, Tezpur. In 2015, he conducted a quiz on the life and music of Zubin Garg at the Cotton College, the first ever to be done by anyone in or outside Assam. He has also had the rare privilege of conducting a quiz with the father of Northeastern quizzing, Professor Dilip Kumar Barua at Cotton College in 2017. My dear friends, I present to you Sayantan Saikia sir.
Thanks a lot. That was that was a great introduction, to be honest, from you all. And first of all, I would like to thank Arindam and Pradeep. They contacted me few days before, and they asked me whether I would be able to do a webinar for the Assam Engineering College Quiz Club. And to be honest, I wouldn't have been able to reject this because I have very fond memories with AEC. Actually, the first quiz I had given in Guwahati was in AEC. Back in 2012, when I was a junior in Cotton College, I came from Digboy and took admission in July 2012, and the quiz was organized by AEC. It was in memory of a boarder of AEC who had died accidentally. I think the name of the quiz was Prasenjit Gogoi Memorial Quiz. I don't know whether they organize it or not nowadays. Um, it was organized in the main hall of AEC, and the quiz master was Manimugdha Sharma. He now I think he's doing his PhD now. He was also a journalist for Times of India. So we came and we qualified, but we didn't do well in the finals. We emerged fifth, I think. We got the fifth spot in that quiz. But there are very fond memories of AEC, and especially, I love the quizzing culture of AEC, the way they groom young talents, the way they hone them by doing quizzes upon diverse topics such as business, sports, even technology. And AEC has produced brilliant quizzes since the last 15, 20 years, such as Kapinjal Chaudhary. Kamanashish Chaudhary, and many others. There have been, I think, Tata Crucible champions as well from AEC. So, so that was all about my experiences with AEC. So now, in today's webinar, I would try to focus upon certain things. That is the history of quizzing, how quizzing came into Assam, the way one can develop himself as a quizzer, because I don't think there is a certain thing called a good quizzer or a bad quizzer. So everyone is a quizzer, and there can't be a differentiation because everyone has their own different genres. Everyone has their own taste, and that's why I will talk about how to develop oneself as a quizzer. And I will also try to share some funny experiences regarding my whole quizzical journey. First, let me start with how how the word quiz came into being. So it was around 1782, around 250, almost 250 years back, in Dublin. Dublin is a city in Ireland. So in Dublin, there was a theater owner. His name was James Daly. So one day he had a talk with his friends, and his friends challenged him that if you come up with a word within 24 hours, and if the word becomes common currency, that is, if the word is accepted by the people within 24 hours, then we would give you a treat. So Dali said, okay, fine, I will try to do something about it. So he went to his home, took some time. After having his dinner, he went out and thought of a word. This word quiz struck him. It didn't have any meaning back then. So what he did, he took a brush, a painting brush, and wrote the word through all the walls of the city within one night. Within one night, he wrote the word quiz, 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 quiz in on the walls of in the walls of the city. Next morning, when the people woke up, they found it strange. What is this quiz? Quiz, quiz, quiz everywhere. So no one exactly knew what this word meant. So one started asking the other, so what is this? What does it stand for? So from that tradition, the word itself got its meaning. That is asking another person a question. From that itself, the word quiz got its meaning, and later on, it also became a legal term. Means it got accepted into the Oxford English Dictionary, even in the Cambridge English Dictionary, and now it is a very common word. And people, especially those who love intellectual activities, it is a very common word for them. Secondly, how quiz came into India. I think quiz has always been, intellectual activities have always been a very integral part of the culture of India. We always have been a very means knowledgeable civilization, not in terms of books, but in terms of uh, searching one's own meaning through books, even in the past through Vedas or Upanishads and everything. So the first quiz, first quiz formally that was done in India was way back in 1967. It was conducted by Neil O'Brien, who we regard as the father of Indian quizzing. The name of the quiz was Eddie Hyde Memorial Quiz. The Eddie Hyde Memorial Quiz was organized in Kolkata, and a lot of teams took active part in there. And later on, from 1967, the quizzing culture started gaining popularity in schools and colleges, and even Doordarshan, that is DD, has a lot in popularizing the art of quizzing. And later on, quizmasters such as Siddharth Basu. I think many of you know, but and many of you may not know, but Siddharth Basu was the main person behind the questions in Kaun Banega Crorepati. So he is the person who sets the questions for KBC. So Siddharth Basu has many wonderful books to his name. BBC Mastermind. The BBC Mastermind itself there is a series, the BBC Mastermind series. So the quizzing culture got prominence in colleges and schools, and in the same year, in 1967 itself, in Cotton College here in Guwahati, Professor Dilip Kumar Purva conducted the first quiz in Assam, in the Northeast, to be precise, in Northeast, and uh, the first winner. It is interesting that the first three winners were women back in 1967. Today we are talking about women empowerment, but 54 years ago, the first uh, three teams to win a quiz, they were women. I think the first team was from Henry College. I forgot about the other two teams, but the first team was a woman, women team. So since 1967, the quizzing culture gained prominence in Assam, and different tournaments, different competitions have been organized throughout the length and breadth of the state. And since the introduction of multimedia has given a great boost to the quizzing culture, especially in before 2004 or 5, means when we were small. We don't remember questions asked in slide, or we don't remember questions. Means video questions, because YouTube was not there and video questions were not very accessible. And even if anyone wanted to ask a video question, there wasn't any way to ask it, because VCRs and all, it was a very costly stuff, and arrangements were very, it was a problematic way. So therefore, before 2004 and 5, there were straightforward quizzes. Means we used to go to quizzes, then the quiz master would ask questions according to his choice. Means if you answer once, you may not get the second chance to answer, even if you know the answer. So you would have to raise your hand, then the quizmaster would ask you. So simultaneously, we used to call it Prashna Manch. Prashna Manch. After 2005-6, when the multimedia trend started to gain prominence in the quizzing circuit, the entire thing changed. It was the cuisine got revolutionized, and in 2010-11, the concept of pounds, LVC, infinite pounds, bounds, these things came into being. And when we were in EHS, when we were doing our graduation, these things reached their peak, and they were very new to us, because we didn't have any experience regarding the formats. And Guwahati especially gave me a new hope, a new way to develop myself. So this was all about the history of cuisine and how cuisine came into India and Assam. Now I would like to talk about how one can develop oneself as a quizzer. See, the first thing which I think that a quizzer needs is a curious mind. If you don't have a curious mind, then it will be quite tough to develop oneself as a quizzer, because uh, I think quizzing is the I would call quizzing as the art of trying to know everything and anything beyond and uh, under the sun, everything and everything beyond and under the sun, because quizzing is found everywhere. Quiz is found everywhere. You can find quiz in your kitchen, when you go out, when you go to a theater, when you are in school, everywhere. Because there is a difference between quizzing and an examination. The main difference is entertainment. Actually, quiz is the epitome of infotainment, information plus entertainment. Therefore, um, I think that the basic do's of a quizzer is to read. The more and more a quizzer reads, the more and more he will be able to develop his curious mind. If one has to develop himself as a quizzer, one should read good books. And here, good books, I mean everything from good romantic novels to good thrillers to good even books such as Manorama Yearbook or GK books or everything. And secondly, one should be quite familiar with newspapers, because newspapers are the primary source of information even now, because in social media there are so many pages, and there is so much information that you cannot say that this information is right and this information is wrong. So therefore, uh, newspapers, I think, are a trusted source even now, and I don't think Wikipedia is a very trusted source, because Wikipedia can be edited by anybody, and even in quizzes, I see that when anyone asks a quiz master that what is the source of this question, so quiz master says that I got this from Wikipedia. But people forget that Wikipedia
Written by someone else. Wikipedia itself has been written.
someone else, and therefore there can be a lot of means anomalies in the very text itself in Wikipedia. Thirdly, one should watch good films and good music. One should listen to good music. That is different genres of music. You should listen to folk music. You should listen to in Indian music, especially the traditional and even the rock scene. You should listen to English music, and you should even listen to music which means revolutionary songs such as Pete Seeger and Bob Dylan. You should listen to them, and you should watch good films such as Satyajit Ray, Martin Scorsese, then other Steven Spielberg, and those films which can give a curious mindset to you. So I don't think watching a Salman Khan film would be quite beneficial to develop oneself as a figure. Therefore, you can watch those films also for entertainment, but these should be the cornerstone of the young mind, because one cannot develop himself as a quizzer at the age of 56. So if you have to do that, you have to do that during your teenage or before 25 or maximum 30. After 30, I don't think one can develop himself as a quizzer, because 30 is too late an age to for starting as a quizzer. And mm, uh, anyone is anyone finding trouble regarding my English, or should I speak in Assamese or any other language?
No, it's
Can
fine.
it's fine? Okay, thank you. So basically, quizzing is all about quizzing is all about gathering knowledge and implementing it in a good way. And lastly, I would like to say that one should know about one's roots. Roots means the culture of your own state. If you belong from Assam, you should know about Assam. If you belong from Meghalaya, you should know about Meghalaya. If you belong from Mizoram, you should know about Mizoram. Because without knowing about one's own state, I don't think anyone can be a good leader. Because if you are disconnected from your roots, then when you go out, people won't ask you about the CEO of Pepsi. People will ask you about Bihu. People will ask you about Dr. Bhupen Hazarika. People will ask you about Lakshminath Bezburua. People will ask you about Srimanta Sankara. Means that's the basic reason why one should try to study about one's own folk culture, one's own literature, one's own songs, one's own cinema, and one's own traditional art forms and everything. Because I myself have experienced this. We had been to Delhi in 2010. So there are a lot of people in Delhi who think that Assam is a land of jungle, and they think that we don't study here. There are a lot of people who think that we are still fighting to establish ourselves as a civilization, and that's why I had a small argument with a few boys. I too was young. I was 16, 17 at that age, and then I told them about Srimanta Shankardev, and I told them about Dr. Bhupen Hazarika, and how when Shakespeare was writing about Hamlet, and the Renaissance was going on in Florence and Italy, at the same time, Srimanta Shankardev and Madhavdev, they were composing war in Assam. They were trying to means dissect the Veds. They were trying to means unite the Assamese society by the new Vaishnavite movement. I told a lot, and then I think it's not in entirety. I tried to change the a few people's mindset there. So that's why when you go out, you should do quizzing in different genres. You should do business quizzing. You should do sports, general quizzing. You should do literature quiz. But the thing is that one should give importance to uh, learning your own culture about Assam. So, this was basically what I had to tell. If anyone has questions regarding anything, if anyone wants to ask anything, you all are free, and I shall answer them.
Everyone can drop down their questions in the chat box, and it should be strictly orientation related.
If anyone wants to ask, then you all are free.
Sir, I had a question. So, as like a beginner, what books would you suggest to improve oneself in quizzing?
Okay, thank you for the question. As a beginner, I would think that you should start with newspaper editorials. Newspaper editorial. I think you should not start with books because newspaper is the basic source of information for current affairs. And read newspapers daily. Read the state newspaper and read the national newspaper daily. If you have time, because reading a complete newspaper is not possible and it is not necessary as well. Find the important things, read the sports chapter so that you get a proper insight regarding sports. Read the editorials because editorial will give you an insight about the daily happenings of the country. Read the front page. Read the front page of the local vernacular newspaper and the national newspaper. Secondly, if you do want to start with a book, then I would suggest that you can start with Siddharth Basu's BBC Mastermind. You can get that from Flipkart or Amazon. You can purchase it, and it's a very diverse book. You can get means there are topics from Ramayan to means business. So you can start with that book itself.
Okay, sir. And since we all know that everyone is like now focusing more on social media, and so what pages would you suggest like to follow in Instagram or Facebook so that our knowledge gets more expanded while we scroll through?
Yeah, okay. In social media, there are a lot of good pages which provide information regarding the world and India. There's a page, History in Photographs. You can means, click on that. You can follow that page, History in Photographs. Then there's another page, India's Historical Movements, and there are a lot of quizzing pages as well. Assam Quiz Association, I think many people are associated with that group. Assam Quiz Association is a good quiz group where which you all can follow questions. I think the group is a little bit not active these days, but if you search through its history, then you will get a lot of information. There are a lot of good questions, and many leading quizzers from this region are associated with that group. Oakoko is a very good quiz page in FB. Oakoko is run by two of the leading quiz masters of Assam right now, Dipankar Kaushik sir and Dilip Kumar Sharma sir. So one can purchase that. And The good thing about Oakoko is that they focus completely on the culture of Assam. So if you are a beginner or if you are interested in developing your knowledge regarding Assam, then prescribing or subscribing Oakoko is a must. You'll get a lot of information regarding Assamese culture, and you'll get updates as well regarding quizzes. Means you can go and participate in them later on.
Also, the last question would be like, we all read things and we all know things sometimes, but the fear of not being able to answer sometimes stops us from participating.
Yeah.
So how do you suggest we overcome that fear?
Mm, I think that the best way to kill a fear is to fight it, means to face it. Without facing it, one cannot kill any sort of fear. Uh, mm, I will give you an example of myself. I myself was not quite confident that I would be able to participate in quizzes because uh, once you clear the prelims, and when you go to the stage, then stage fright is a totally different thing. So when you are in stage, then even if you sometimes it happens such as that even if you know the answer, then you cannot blurt it out because of a certain mental block. So these things happen, but I think the best solution regarding that is to join a quiz itself. If you keep joining, then when you go in stage, and the best part about the quizzing culture now is that you have two teams in a group. So even if you do not want to speak the answer out, you can tell that to your partner. Your partner will give the answer, and ultimately, the main objective of your team is to win. So you can do that, and later on, I think the best way, because that is itself uh, an example of stage fright, and to reduce it or to kill it, I think you can organize small pub quizzes or hub quizzes in your birthday. Call your friends in a different location, or small quizzes which are organized in villages or localities. One can visit them to kill the fear, because I do understand that giving out an answer in front of 400, 500 people is not an easy task, because the risk remains that if my answer is wrong, what will people think? So first of all, one has to kill that stigma that even if the answer is wrong, I haven't committed a crime. So anyone's answer can be wrong. So if you get rid of that stigma, if you get rid of that thought, then I think one can excel in the field of physics.
Yes, thank you. And does anybody have any more questions you would like to entertain them now? You can just drop them in the chat box. Please feel free to ask. So I have another question. So how was your experience in the youth festival of quizzing?
Okay, my youth festival experience was terrific. We went to Mysore. Our youth festival was in 2016. That was held in Mysore, and the next year we went to Kolhapur. So when we had been to Mysore, we were underdogs actually, because we ourselves didn't think that we will be able to emerge. We will emerge as national champions, and there were a lot of good competitors. Mumbai University, there was one person called Sneashish Panda. He was means their team, Mumbai University team, were the national champions in the year before, that is in 2015. So they themselves were present there. And Punjab University means in the finals we had to compete against Punjab, Kerala, Mumbai, uh, Banaras Hindu University, and I think Tezpur University. So all were very strong teams, and we tried our best. And the questions were very great. Means the quiz master, his name was Joydeep Das. His questions were excellent. Means and the best thing was that in the quiz, in not in Mysore, but in the East Zone, which was held in Medinipur, that is in Vidyasagar University. One question regarding our famous Assamese singer Tarali Sharma was asked. So it was a moment of pride for us, and I shall always cherish those memories. And lastly, AIU is a very good event. I don't know whether AEC comes under AIU or not, but I think if someone does get the opportunity to go to AIU, then one must, because it is a very excellent platform to develop the quizzing culture and to bring glory to your own institution.
Thank you, sir. So, you've both been, a participant and a quiz master. So, what are the things that you keep in mind while being a quiz master and running a quiz?
Okay, first of all, the basic thing that I keep in mind is that where am I going to ask the questions? Means what is the venue? Because I have to ask my questions according to the taste of my people and the taste of the quizzers as well. Because what happens is that if I go and ask about Pink Floyd in a very rural village, then that doesn't make any sense. And if I go and ask a very silly question in, suppose in an institution like AEC, or suppose in an institution like Cotton University, if I ask who was the first Prime Minister of India in prestigious institution of our state, then that doesn't make any sense. So the basic thing which I keep in mind is that to make 50% of the questions little bit tough, 25% of the questions a little less tougher, and 25% of the questions easy. Because the quizzes themselves, if you make 100% of the questions very tough, it doesn't do any good for the quizzing culture. Because suppose there are around 36 questions in your quiz or 40 questions in your quiz. I think the quiz will be a success, or the quiz master's efforts will be a success when the teams are able to answer at least one question more than 50% of the total questions. So if you have framed 50 questions as a quiz master, if the participants are able to answer 26, 27, then I think it is a success. Or but if they are not being able to answer even 20, then that is not a good sign for a quiz master, because one should not go to the stage with the mindset that today I will take a revenge upon the quizzers, that I will give hard questions no one will be able to answer. So that should not be the mentality of a quiz master. And moreover, in every quiz which I conduct, I try to give at least 20 or 25 questions on Assam, because one should ask about one's own state, because we do ask about sports, we do ask about England, we do ask about America, we ask about Bob Dylan, Michael Jackson. Then why shouldn't we ask about Zubin Garg or Khogan Mohanto, or even about Papon? We should ask about our own people. So therefore, I give emphasis on the framing questions regarding Assam and Northeast in my quizzes. So these are the basic things which I keep in mind.
Thank you so much, sir. That was the last question. So that was the end of the Q&A session, and that was an impactful insight on the world of quizzing with a lot of depth and perspective. So, sir, we couldn't have asked for a better quiz master to elucidate and enlighten all of us on the world of quizzing and how we all can be, better at it. So, thank you so much again. And secondly, thank you everyone for joining this session. I hope it was a great intellectual experience for all of you. It was for me, and I hope this encourages you to participate more and learn more and to never stop quizzing. Thank you so much, sir, once again, and
Thank you.
wishing everyone a good night.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Sarah, as well. I loved it. Thank you everyone for giving your precious time, because it is 6:30, and 6:30 is a time where everyone remains busy. One could go out for a hot cup of tea. I myself will go out now. So thank you all, and it was a great experience. Thank you.
Everyone, can you switch on your cameras? We want to take a screenshot.
Yeah, we can take a quick screenshot. Okay, so that was it. Thank you again, everyone. Thanks, everyone. And we hope it was a good experience for all of you. That was it. Good night.